this because your moral core is magnificent. Well, and I know you probably don't want it, you don't want to think about it, but I just feel like I would feel a lot better with you leading the FBI, the CIA, the NBC.
Nope. No. Listen, I just need everyone to remember what neoconservatives were up to during the Bush years.
Whoopi Goldberg sucked up to far-right extremist and now never-Trumper Liz Cheney, as so many other Democratic establishment types have done. Whoopi Goldberg had Liz Cheney on The View. Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks broke all this down. We're going to take a look at clips of Whoopi Goldberg and Liz Cheney on The View, as well as clips from the Young Turks with Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur. I will share my thoughts on this one as well. Let's check it out together.
Are you also a lawyer?
Yeah, I am.
So you could conceivably be a great AG if this was... Because, and I say...
Right off the bat, I have to just say, these people in the audience applauding Liz Cheney, it is disgusting.
The administration, by the way, in which Liz Cheney herself served in, certainly in the State Department, because if you're worried about unconstitutional acts like, let's say, suspending habeas corpus, that happened under Bush's watch. George W. Bush, according to the Washington Post at the time, attempted to fire 93 U.S. attorneys for refusing to do his bidding. And his attorney general at the time, Alberto Gonzales, was like, 93, that's maybe gonna raise some eyebrows. Let's fire 8. They fired 8 attorneys U.S. attorneys, I should say, specifically for political purposes, which, by the way, was determined through an investigation that was conducted. Like, you want to talk about undemocratic acts, guys? Bush stole an election. Okay, in 2000. Was Liz Cheney doing anything about that?
Yeah. No.
Come on, man. Like, what? Let's stop laundering their reputations. What are we doing?
So there's 2 things here. First, the partisanship just blinds them. It's amazing. So that's the same Whoopi Goldberg who was telling us how evil the Cheneys were when they were Republicans. And so they were not on her team. So she's like, oh, neocon, conservative, right-wingers, terrible, no moral core at all. She flips to the Democratic team, almost identical policies. In fact, totally identical policies, except for she doesn't like Trump, right? So now I give Liz Cheney credit for the reason she doesn't like Trump is because he tried a coup against this country. So no problem with credit where credit is due, right? But her policies are the same. So, but now Whoopi flips and goes, greatest moral core of all time, and you should be in charge of policy for, well, then you don't care about policy. You don't care about anything. You never cared about any of the things that you talked about. All you wanted was rah, 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 my team, my team, my team.
100%. Look,
right?
Whoopi Goldberg is, as my brother likes to say it, gooch. Like, she's good, she's comfortable, she's happy. And when your financial stability and your comfort is secured, honestly, politics just becomes a sporting event, right? And you just want your team to win. And the thing that's so frustrating to me is, look, I don't know what Whoopi Goldberg is aware of and what she's unaware of, right? I don't remember her commenting on politics back during the Bush era. So maybe she's totally unaware that Bush suspended habeas corpus for anyone who was simply suspected of being an enemy combatant, which, by the way, prevented individuals from legally challenging their detention. That's what that did. It was so egregious that the Supreme Court overturned the suspension of habeas corpus because it was unconstitutional 2 years later.
And what are we talking about? Liz Cheney's a neocon. She was 100% in favor of the Iraq war. She has the same exact policies as Dick Cheney, her father.
In favor of torture, till this day refuses to say it was the wrong thing to do.
In favor. And Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are spot on with what they're saying. And like with what Ana Kasparian is saying here with Whoopi Goldberg, that she's good, she has all the money. Instead of platforming somebody like Liz Cheney, Whoopi Goldberg could be saying, this is a horrible person. I don't need any money, so I can call them out. And the Kamala Harris campaign should have had no involvement with her. what really infuriates me with this campaign, the Republicans cater to their base. Do you ever see Donald Trump or any of the current Republicans saying, you know, we want to have a Democrat as part of our campaign, or we want to have a Democrat. Now, people will say JFK Jr. People I'm sure are commenting right now. Okay, JFK Jr. You want to count him as a Democrat. But they're never saying, you know, we're going to reach out to the other side, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the Democrats bend over backwards to try to appeal to some mythical Republican in the suburb who's going to vote for them. And we saw where they got them. The Democrats and the Harris campaign and Joe Biden's campaign before that should have said, Liz Cheney, thank you for doing one right thing in your life and admitting what everybody else in the world outside of MAGA Republicans could see was that Donald Trump tried to overthrow an election and cause January 6th to happen. Say, thank you, you did one right thing. Now go away. We will have nothing to do with you. Instead, they parade her around, have her as part of the campaign and say, oh, we're going to have Republicans in our cabinet. If you run as Republican light, people are going to say, I'll just vote for a Republican. And that's what happened. And I would hope that the Democrats would learn this lesson and say, oh, maybe we should actually listen to our base some and run on things like Medicare for all. Run on actual progressive policies. But no, they won't do it. They'll say, oh, we should have gone further to the right and had more Republicans involved with us and more warmongers and horrible neocons like Liz Cheney involved with our campaign. It's just disgusting. And for Whoopi Goldberg to talk about Liz Cheney's moral core when she had the involvement that she did with the wars in the Middle East, it's disgusting.
For warrantless wiretapping, in favor of giant corporate tax cuts, both under Bush and Donald Trump. So wait, the person in favor of torture has an incredible moral core? And that's the other thing. So look, this is what we're afraid of. Donald Trump's a monster. I don't want that guy anywhere near power again. I'm afraid that he won't leave. So we've got to vote for Kamala Harris. But now the establishment knows that. So the establishment's like, oh, great. Let's bring in all the worst Republicans on earth and put them inside the Democratic Party and then make them attorney general. That's one of the 4 most important posts in the entire government. And giving it to a Cheney, the Democrats? You must be out of your mind, Whoopi Goldberg.
I have to tell you, one of the funniest tweets that I've read was from a guy who's like, oh my God, George W. Bush refuses to endorse Kamala Harris. We see you for who you really are now. No. He did Kamala a favor, okay? George W. Bush, not popular. Let me just give you the numbers real quick and then we got to wrap up. In a December 2008 Pew Research.
And of course, George W. Bush didn't endorse anyone, but he did come out and congratulate Donald Trump after the election was over for winning. So that's George W. Bush for you.
Center survey.
After all of the stuff that that Donald Trump has said about George W. Bush and his brother and his family, disgusting.
Just 11% said Bush will be remembered as an outstanding or above average president. By far the lowest positive end of term rating for any of the past 4 presidents. But not if you ask Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, they're doing a great job. Again, laundering. The View right now is like a laundromat for neoconservatives.
Yeah, I don't want the neocons in our party. And so thank you, Liz Cheney, appreciate it. I'm sure you'll be spectacularly wealthy as a lobbyist, but put her in charge of the CIA. Who did the torture?
Oh my God.
The CIA did. So that's the View going, yay, Democrats are Republicans now. Now we'll be doing the torture because our moral core is so magnificent. So no, I hope Kamala Harris doesn't make that mistake. She'll probably get something for sure, Liz Cheney will, right? And why did you pick the Cheneys? Why didn't you just pick Adam Kinzinger or 100 other Republicans who are never Trumpers? Why did you have to go to the worst of them? So don't listen to that crap. You guys get it. Trump's terrible. That doesn't make Liz and Dick Cheney and George Bush wonderful. It's not a hard concept to understand unless you're on The View.
Spot on from Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian. You know, you could have had, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter now because Kamala Harris lost, but they could have invited Tim Miller to be a part of their campaign. He's done a tremendous job with his show, being a never Trumper. And, you know, he's somebody who actually, you know, I don't know Tim Miller personally, but just from his shows and his different appearances, seems to be someone with a moral core, unlike Liz Cheney. There's a great podcast. I mean, you listen to them in all the normal podcast places, but they also have a YouTube channel called The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal, and they have a common expression that they use a lot is burn the lifeboats. And they always talk about the Bush administration people, the lifeboats should have been burned. And Liz Cheney and all the rest from the Bush administration should have been banished from polite society. You know, not harmed in any way, treated violently or anything like that. But they should have never been guests on any TV show, let alone possibly having been a part of an administration, a Kamala Harris administration, if she had won. But I fear that after this embarrassing loss by the Democrats, losing to a moron and an absolute scumbag like Donald Trump, they won't learn any of the right lessons to go towards their base, listen to people like Bernie Sanders, and focus on bread and butter issues. They'll want to have more Republicans involved. And this is, you know, where we are now. We just have to hope that a second Donald Trump term with this scumbag does not harm our country any more than it already has. But we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments about Liz Cheney, Whoopi Goldberg, Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, any of these people. I love to read your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe so I can keep growing the channel. I want to be able to bring out more content like this every day, and your likes and subscribes and comments help me to do that. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.